Welcome to Recharge and in our new little way, Connect Student Ministry.
Connect Student Ministry.
Yes, we are at home. Yes, we are still trying to figure this thing out. And yeah, this is probably a one-time thing because we'll probably have to do double Zoom recordings next week, seeing how this world is going.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've kind of talked about the last 2 weeks, and really so we'll talk about this week, next week, and then we'll get into Ruth, change it up a little bit. But we're talking about like practical ways with the Bible, and so what we're kind of talking about this week is what we've been learning, because we ask you that all the time, whether it's through Zoom or through text or through put something in the comment section below, which you still can. But we want to know what you've been learning, so we asked that, and well, we're gonna talk about what we've been learning.
Yeah.
So back at it, Pastor Jared, Associate Tim. Tim, since you're the associate, do you want to go first?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah. So my
chair is much squeakier than yours.
I think so. Mine
Hey,
is.
careful when you're gonna knock that over.
Ooh. You didn't see that here. I'm not leaning back on my lamp. Anyway. Yeah, I'm learning about some apologetics type stuff in an interesting way for me. I've always been interested in apologetics and basically just finding evidence for faith and our faith in Christ, that is. And I've always looked at it from the perspective of our...
We just moved to New York.
Yep.
We'll just let it go. It's fine.
It's whatever. But I've always looked at it from one perspective, being from the Christian perspective. And that's usually from people like Frank Turek or William Lane Craig, Ravi Zacharias, a lot of great people.
I do love Ravi Zacharias.
They're so good.
So
But I never... And they always talk about how they read a lot of prominent atheist books whenever they study and prep for debates or writing their own books. The main atheists being Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens. And I was like, well, why am I not doing that? I'm not scared of it or anything like that. I've been well versed in learning. So I've been reading through Christopher Hitchens' book, God Is Not Great, recently.
Cool.
Just kind of analyzing his arguments. And
what is his top argument?
His top argument so far, I'm only 2 chapters in, so this might be completely wrong by the end of it. But so far, his main point that I'm deriving from it is God can't exist, or at least a good God can't exist, because look at his Christian people. Look at the people he's made, and look at how horrible they are and inconsistent they are. If they're inconsistent and they're made in his image, what does that say about our
Which is
God?
really interesting because that's honestly a lot of people's arguments. Penn and Teller, they're really big magicians if you don't know who they are.
Big fans of their magic.
Excellent magic show. But their biggest argument is if Christians really believed what they believed, why would they want to tell everybody? Where most Christians are actually very timid, which he ain't wrong.
Yeah. Like I'm finding, I agree with like 90% of what he's saying. Christians should act this certain way. We shouldn't be doing these certain things. If we believe in such a God and such a Bible that tells us to do the opposite, we're falling into this trap where we're misrepresenting God. The only part I don't agree with is that it makes a bad case for the existence of God. I think Christopher's argument isn't really amounting towards that. It's not shaking my faith as much as it is just reminding me, yeah, Christians kind of suck. I'm like, yeah, a lot of them do.
Kind of do.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't wrong. So for me, I'll have to say, one of the big things that this time has kind of taught me is one that I'm not a very disciplined person, which is weird because in some places, some areas of my life, I'm very disciplined. In some places, I'm not, and this has really shown me kind of where I'm at and where I'm not at, I guess. Right, we tell you should read the Bible, pray every day. But one, I've really learned that prayer is oddly more difficult in a crisis that isn't directly affecting me.
Right.
Right, because usually when there's a lot of sickness happening, there's someone I personally be praying for. When I'm experiencing the crisis personally, right? Like if there's a giant sickness happening and I'm sick, or someone in my family sick. We did have one student that we were afraid that had COVID-19, and that changed how I prayed drastically. We had a church member who lost a family member, and those prayers did change, but there's this difference because I'm not being able to walk through it in the same way. I'm not having the physical walking through it. I'm just seeing it from apart. And so my self-discipline and prayer, right, it's so hard to focus when I've already been home all day. I'm surrounded by books. I'm surrounded by TV, social media, video games. Like you've been to our house, and where usually what is this like side room where we put our stuff in, I had to clean out, bring a desk from church, and put it in there for my desk, and shut the doors when I'm trying to work, because I need it to be a separate space. Mm-hmm. Because we need these separate spaces to be less distracted, at least in my life. And so I've kind of noticed that a little bit more, that I'm really self-disciplined when I can't move into a new space. I'm having a hard time being disciplined enough, which is really hard, because when we talk about the Bible, mm-hmm. what's one of the biggest things that it teaches? See if I put you on the spot right now.
Yeah, I'm like
panic.
Which big one? Separating sin from the flesh?
So, yeah, that's only one of them. But what we're shooting for today, we're talking about practical things, which was what we're talking about for the next couple weeks, is...
Oh, discipline.
Discipline. Yeah. Discipline!
See, I got it.
He knew. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But having self-discipline and self-control, those things, are they different or the same? I don't know.
Right.
Both, they are the same, but they are different.
A little mixture of that.
So I got, and I was like, man, I just, what scripture is in the Bible about discipline and about self-control, right? 1 Corinthians 9, when it talks about being athletes, right? Those who are in strict training aren't just training for the win,
right,
but for the results that continue mm-hmm. after the win. As we do things, not as worrying about, obviously, like, my good actions and my desire to meet the needs of people here are for that meeting here. But for one day when I stand before God,
right,
I get the well done, my good and faithful servant, because ultimately I'm not trying to honor you, I'm trying to honor God.
Yeah.
A lot of Paul's writings are let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober and focused. Mm-hmm. For God gave us a mind that doesn't make us timid, but of power, love, and self-discipline. There's another one in Romans 12.
Yeah.
Right? Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our
mm-hmm.
mind, being disciplined and having self-control to sit and to listen, right, to understand. Everyone loves using the Philippians 4:13. Like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me, mm-hmm. Which is very true, but I feel like that one's cheesy.
And I feel like we often don't even think to look in the Old Testament, but Daniel chapter 1, looking at how Daniel and his boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they self-disciplined with their diet, and it was for the honor of God, and it pulled through.
Way to bring that Sunday Bible study back in here.
I got you.
And so when we talk about, okay, what is this use of this time, and honestly, what does self-discipline look like? Yeah, I'm gonna pull this back because I don't want you to see what airplay is. But okay, so Tim, for you, what does self-discipline and self-control look like in your life?
In my life?
In your life. Right now, is that something you're struggling with or you're learning about?
It is a huge adjustment, with quarantine. I, too, have dealt with the pain and annoyance of having to sleep in the same room that I work in. And I thought I escaped that for a while. I was having college classes in person as opposed to online, making these little steps. And now I'm kind of back to square one, where I sleep in the same room that I do schoolwork, or work. So work. But I've had to figure out ways to avoid that. So one of the small ways today was, we're still at a point where we can meet with people as long as we social distance and whatnot. But on the way here, we talked about the possibility of doing a Zoom call today, and I was like, I'm going to take advantage of what I can do today, and meet, not just to get out of the house, but having that little bit of separation between my home life and work life will help me sleep better tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Honestly, like you never realize this that the seeing of somebody else, how comforting that is.
Yeah. And I know that's a luxury I can't always rely on right now. So the other thing I've been doing is cleaning up my back porch. I put my old couch back there and coated it with that really cool stuff that it's like never wet. Where like you spray it with water and it just rolls off.
Do you know there's a fabric that it's a white fabric actually that you can get, and it doesn't get, like when it rains, it's resistant to rain. It doesn't get dirty. It's expensive.
Okay,
but it's very cool. I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll put it in there.
Send me a link to that or whatever.
I'll put it in the bio. Right. That's what YouTubers say.
Put it in the description below. But I've done that so that I can do, like, there's video devotionals out there and just a place that I can be comfortable regardless of the temperature outside and do work or read or school, whatever it may be that's outside of my bedroom. It's a very simplistic discipline, but it helps me so much with my quiet time and my prayer life as well. Yeah. Because I'm not kind of jumbling everything into one small space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of feel that because, like our jobs haven't just stopped. And so there's a lot of times when I'm reading, my mind is thinking, what about the next thing? Because, usually when we're like during the normal week and I have something coming up that is over there, where now it's while I'm reading, my next thing is in my chair that I'm reading in. I can't really go to the park, right? I can go to the park if I'm just running around. I can't just go there and sit and read. But like I'm having to discipline myself in my reading times, my quiet time, my study time, my work time, my time with Christina. Like I have to be disciplined with my time with the Lord and have self-control over food. Right. Apparently there's the COVID-15 now where people are gaining weight, which I definitely understand. Right. Yeah. So I have to be self-control with my food, with what I watch, because I'm so bored that, I don't watch a ton of TV. But it's like, well, we wanted to try a new show, but okay, what new show is out there? What's okay to watch? What's not okay to watch? Because things that, like, there's a lot of Netflix or Amazon originals that you start off and it's great, but they are not afraid to put certain content in there that I don't necessarily want to watch. So I've been watching Bones, where it's about murder, right? Which it's super interesting.
Yeah, and I think one of the dudes is an atheist or
the main character, she's an atheist. It's also Zooey Deschanel's sister. Who would have guessed? Yeah, that's strange. From New Girl to like high, ridiculously smart, crazy lady. But having self-control on what I watch and social media, right? Because this is a time where we have to be on social medias for our jobs. But there's things on there that I don't want to see. I don't want to spend hours on there. Yeah. And there's things that, like, you are also just struggling with this. And, there's things like, before you know it, it can be good stuff, right? I watched, I think, like 3 hours of woodworking videos where I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't watch 3 hours of woodworking videos. Maybe I'll watch an hour of it and then try to build something.
Right, apply it.
Yeah, that's fine. But, like having self-control, but especially in my thoughts, whether it's watching like where my thoughts go to in the sense of lust or of depression, of doubt, of whatever it may be, right? Because we're home, the simple things of God, well, I say simple things, but like self-discipline, self-control, prayer, worship, those things that we talk about, Bible reading, like listening, fasting, those things that we say are basic, right now are very difficult because the community has just changed so much. But they're perfect times to practice them. So I know a lot of y'all have texted us and texted me, like, what are some applicable, like, really easy ways to put this stuff in practice? It's making that Bible reading, making time to worship through song at home, whether it's just playing something in the background, or if you have musical ability, playing guitar or piano, whatever it may be. Spending time in prayer. Actually try fasting, and whatever you decide to fast on, like, keep that promise. It could be food, it could be TV, it could be for half a day, all day while the sun's out, right? I've done a lot of fasts like that where when the sun is out, I won't do X. And then when the sun goes down, I'll go back to it. Well, not necessarily go back to it, but like I will allow myself if I need to, whether it's eating or TV or whatever, maybe.
Right.
But setting these things up to make them easy for you. The hardest part is going to go back to that discipline and self-control.
Yeah.
Can you hold on to the promise, to the focus? It's just eating, exercise, like all these things are so true in our lives. As y'all as students, right? You as a student, you as a college student, y'all are having to start going back to school.
Right.
You're going to have the discipline to do that. It's the same thing just in the Bible reading. Same thing in prayer. Same thing in community, right? I know no one wants to Zoom or FaceTime or text or call all the time. We want to be back in person.
Mm-hmm.
And we're totally with you. But let's take advantage of what we have in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, closing thoughts, Tim? Closing thoughts?
I think you kind of hit it right there on the head of the nail.
Head of the nail. Head of the nail or head on the nail?
Yes.
They both work, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And the hardest part with discipline is it's not just we can know what it is. It always comes down to application. How are you going to do it? Do you have a plan to do it? And do you have somebody to keep you accountable to that? I was texting one of the other college students, and they're taking great opportunity and time to get to know one of their siblings a bit better and bear fruit through that. I'm trying to figure out how to do the same with my little brother. So take advantage of either family you have around you or friends that you can and still do have great communication with. Discipline is hard on your own, but where two or more gather in my name, I will be with them, right? So gathering might look different right now. You know what I mean. So taking advantage of that, God created us to have accountability and to have helpers and others around us. Look at Adam and Eve. But that's all my thoughts, man.
Yeah. Awesome. One final closing question. When you say bear fruit, do you mean bear fruit
or
bear fruit or bear fruit?
I think I'm meaning bear fruit, not bear fruit.
Like bear fruit as in the animal bear fruit? Like
like
a bear eating fruit, or like bear as a naked fruit?
I think a little bit of both, because when we think of the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. I think it's bear arms. I think we often just misinterpret that as military arms.
Like hold a gun.
Yeah, like you can't even buy those. But you're supposed to be able to get bear arms. Yeah, everybody's entitled to them. We just haven't taken advantage of it yet. That's what I'm meaning. Same thing with this. Are you bear fruit?
Fair enough.
Do you?
Love you guys. See you later.
See you.